evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. If we could please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we could have a moment of silence for our police and fire. You may be seated. Kristen, has roll call been taken?
Yes.
Chief Will you do us the honors, please?
Sure. Brian Will, Fire Chief.
Don Grice, DPW Director.
Brooke Card, City Treasurer. Kristen Kenyak, City Clerk. Ellen Glass, City Manager.
Denise Miller, City Councilor.
Brad Dick, City Councilor.
Jerry Link, Mayor Pro Tem.
Liz Armstrong, Mayor.
Pam Howell, City Councilor.
Tom Hicks, City Councilor.
And we're gonna move right into the special presentation.
And we are City Council. Tessa's actually going to do a special presentation for Job Time program.
Oh, actually, I need to excuse Brenda.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. This evening, we would like to recognize and thank Dottie Torrance on her occasion of her retirement. Dottie, you want to say that? Since joining Losey Senior Center in April of 2014, Dottie has dedicated more than 12 years of service to the Losey Senior Center. In addition, she has been sharing her passion for yoga and wellness since 2009, helping countless individuals improve their health, confidence, and quality of life. Throughout her years at Losey Senior Center, Dottie has done much more than just teach yoga. From preparing the beloved Losey lunches to brightening everyone's day with their daily jokes, organizing special events that brought people together and helped create a welcoming environment for every member here. Through her dedication and kindness and commitment to serving others, she has made a lasting impact on those members of the Senior Center. On behalf of the City of Linden, city staff, and Losey members, we extend our sincere gratitude for your years of service and best wishes in your retirement. Dottie, please accept this plaque, a token of our appreciation and congratulations, and thank you for everything you've done at Losey.
It's been really nice working here. I've loved it. I've seen a lot of changes. I know with Ellen, she's a very smart person. The Losey crew that they have now and the members who come here, this is going to be a great place to be. It always has been, it always will be. And I appreciate all they've done for me.
You need to get a quick picture though.
Yeah, I'm done yet.
Alright. We have no correspondence.
Madam Mayor, may I ask, can I add something to the agenda, please? I'd like to add, a FOIA, onto the agenda, for us tonight. The information about FOIA, and information.
Madam Mayor, may I amend that?
Okay, clean it up for me.
I'd like to make a motion to conditionally, the mayor will withdraw her FOIA appeal and a written withdrawal of her FOIA appeal. The city will release all information requested, and then I also want to put FOIA process on the agenda for discussion.
I second that.
In your vote.
Dick,
Yes?
Miller,
Yes?
Hicks,
Yes.
Link,
Yes.
Armstrong,
Yeah, vote.
Howard.
Yes.
We're gonna now move into public comment. So any about, that I see about FOIA, I'm gonna go ahead and put those over for the FOIA section of this. We have Alyssa Jenks.
I am
Lisa Jenkster, 1 Southeast Street. I believe that we used to have a timer for our 3 minutes that Brad would start, and I haven't, I know, but I'm not in high school, I'd like a timer, I don't wanna be, I don't wanna not be able to see, I like that we spent money on it, where is it? Secondly, I'm here to talk about high school behavior, oh my God, I wanted to run, I do not wanna run. You know, you got 4,500 people that voted or watch you at any given time. So, for the mayor, Liz, I know she can't respond, but she packs up while you guys are doing your last end of the day speech. You know, she's got everything packed up, she's not even listening to you guys. Disrespectful. At least she listens to us though. And this one, I voted for twice, Denise Miller. Not twice, once, but I voted for you. In the last 2 meetings, you've walked out. You've walked out. So that DDA meeting that you threw a fit about, I went back and listened to it, cause I'm like, oh my God, what did they call her? A triplet? They called you a triplet? It was because of your voting record. It's a public voting record. And it's not offensive in my opinion, because I find it much worse. You're bad. And then you walked out of this meeting because you were mad because of that, and then this young man who videotapes never got to talk after Liz said he could. So if you go back and look at 2 weeks ago, that happened too. So, high school, yeah. I'm glad you guys will be gone, man, I'll just be glad.
Chris Kenyon. Chris Kenyon, 857 Beachfront. I would like to address something that occurred at the last council meeting. While making a statement about something that had occurred at a different meeting and that I was in no way involved with. The councilor making that statement called me out by name in a very insulting tone for smiling. I'm not sure what Councilor Miller thought she saw in my facial expression that caused her to personally attack me. But calling me out by name was rude, inappropriate, and likely violated the council code of conduct. I have addressed this body in the past at appropriate times. And although some may not agree with my opinions, I think I have always been respectful in my comments and of you. Residents who attend these meetings, in order to be informed, also deserve that same respect. I'm not looking for an apology, but hope in future that proper decorum is maintained. Monica Lerner.
Monica Lerner, I live at 152 West Charleston. I would like to address, so the comment cards. Going back to June 22nd comment card where I had 5 questions. It was rubber stamped as addressed by staff, that didn't happen. So, there was a voicemail left on 6/26, and I returned that voicemail, and that was not followed up on. So there was no answers to my questions. And I don't know what this rubber stamp thing is. I really don't think that's fair. I would like to know why the city staff gets to use our public comment going back to the signs, some of the signs have been picked up out of the right of way. There's more that remain. There's even a real estate sign on West Broad. There's a sign in front of Losi about the bats. And since that meeting on the 22nd, I've had to call 911 5 more times. What is up with this? I don't get it. I submitted pictures of what I'm gonna call light at 1013 North Bridge. The hedges are now covering the first floor windows, and the porch is all enclosed. There's also an open wiring, hole there on the edge of the property, by the sidewalk that a child can fall into, or even an adult. It's a safety hazard. And next to Sloan's, there's the netting for the landscaping that is up this high. So we're gonna get pets and children and wildlife all wrapped up in that. It is not biodegradable, as I was told, because you can look at my yard. Thank you.
John Hill.
My name is John Hill. I live at 292 Laurel Lane, Linden, Michigan. I'm speaking on behalf of Forest Ridge Glens HOA. So I'm requesting 10 minutes for my talk if I need that. And basically I'd like to ask a few questions. The HOA Forest Ridge Glens believes the time has expired on the Damien Group LLC PUD approval. The Linden City Council on 05/12 of 2025 approved the POD. It has been 14 months and no construction. The law 154-140, commencement and completion of construction. To ensure completion of required improvements, the city is authorized to impose performance guarantees in accordance with 154-027. Construction shall commence within 1 year following the final approval of the planned unit development, and shall proceed substantially in conformance with the schedule set forth by the applicant. As required by the Division A above, if the construction is not commenced within such time, any approval of the site plan on the project shall expire and be null and void, provided an extension for approval of the site plan or the project shall expire, specified period may be granted by the city council upon good cause shown, and such request is made to the city council prior to the expiration of the initial period. So I have 3 questions for Ellen Glass. Ellen, has the extension request been received before the 05/12/2026? And Ellen, has the city council voted to grant an extension? And Ellen, was the extension approved? And then the question I have to city council, the city council has the time expired on the Damien Group LLC PUD approval by the City of Linden Council on 05/12/2025. The vote was 6-1. It's been 14 months and no construction. So that's on that topic. I got another topic that I wanted to talk about. There's been in Fenton Township on Thursday, July 9th, there was a preliminary, I think they call it drawing a blank anyway. But there was a meeting there to approve a preliminary site for 110 houses on the corner of Ralston and Ripley. And the site runs on the north side of Ralston full length of Ripley. And a number of the residents from the city of Linden spoke about the speed limits, the traffic, and the traffic congestion caused by another 250 cars on them. And we tried to bring up the fact that there's no ditches on the dirt side, which is the south side of the road. So the preliminary site plan was postponed, so they're gonna have some other meetings. But I would suggest that members of the Linden city staff and Linden city council, please make it a point to go there and listen in on what they're gonna do. And I think it'd be a perfect opportunity for the group of you to sit down and plan what you're gonna do with Ripley. Going north along the golf course and going south to Silver Lake. And kind of get, and if the Genesee County Road Commission is the problem about getting the road at least having ditches in it, so the water doesn't run across the road from east to west, I would suggest that you do that. I think it would be very beneficial to both parties, or both entities, if that gets accomplished. Thank you.
Are there any other further public comment on non-agenda items? Seeing none, we are gonna go down to the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Madam Mayor? I have a question about the consent agenda from last month. I noticed while I was looking into the consent agenda, we have a $95,000, payment to Fenton, City of Fenton for Choice One pathway. I know that we have approved the $20,000 from last, meeting. Some clarification about the $95,000.
So the $60,000 was escrow that Charter Senior Living had, put in escrow for the portion of the pathway that goes in front of their facility. And Fenton City is the fiduciary on the pathway, so that money was sitting in escrow, and as the project progressed, then that needed to be paid out to Fenton City. And then the $20,000 that was, in regards to phase 3, but the original $15,000 too that the city of Linden committed. So those were already committed funds, so we're just finally paying those out.
Okay, and what was the first part of that? What money we hold on to from
This,
where?
so Charter Senior Living,
Charter.
yep, they had put $60,000 in escrow. That's their money, that was in escrow, and so when the pathway went through, they paid a portion for the pathway
Okay,
on their
I just
property.
seen that on there, I'm like, where did I, so, thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's a motion.
I take the next second.
Armstrong,
Yes.
Link,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Dick,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Moving on to the discussion items. Resolution number 11-26, mosquito ballot language approval.
Madam Mayor and City Council, this is the same, resolution that was in front of you at the last meeting that we give you no changes. This is a renewal for mosquito. We haven't received any questions, as of right now, the language still remains the same, so just happy to field any questions you guys might have.
Do any residents have any questions on the mosquito language ballot? Seeing none? Any council members have any questions?
I think they do a good job.
And just a reminder, it'll come back to the next city council meeting for actual approval.
All right, moving down to B, housing readiness zoning ordinance amendments.
So, Madam Mayor and City Council, you have a memo in your packet from, Adam providing the background as well as, an overview of the amendments. And so this is in the packet. Adam couldn't be here tonight. He's happy to, we'll field any questions, we'll get them back to him. I think he is planning to be here at the next council meeting, when we would bring those back for actual approval. So happy to field any questions you guys might have, but this has been the process of your project that has been in the works for a little time. It went back to planning commission, and this is the final revised version after going back to planning commission.
Yes.
Do any residents have any questions about the housing readiness zoning ordinance amendments? Seeing none, any council members?
Just one quick, question. Went to the planning commission, we set forth what we wanted, went to the planning commission. Did they approve or change anything in that?
So they, actually Brad and Jerry, if you guys would like to touch on that, but they, all the recommendations that went back to them were incorporated, from city council.
Correct, yeah. Perfect, thank you.
Pam, any questions?
I don't have any questions, just to say that everything that we talked about at our meeting when we discussed this is included. I looked at the other meeting notes.
I did the same thing, I went over and compared. I don't see any differences from what we asked for. And then we can ask Adam to come up with something for the 2 weeks when he comes in. Perfect, thank you.
Brad?
No questions, it's the same as the council recommended.
Yep, come back the same.
Okay, I have no questions. All right, so that's gonna move us down to the topic of FOIA. So we will start with public comment on the FOIA items. Marta Wright?
Mayor, Council, President, I'm here tonight to question and document the FOIA, the mayor challenged us to FOIA. I did it. The document I have many questions on dated 5/12/26 was not included in my FOIA packet provided by the mayor, but it was posted on social media. I got most of the documents, but the one that I really wanted was not there, but this is what I got instead. No answers. And it was not on time. In this document, in the document that I was looking for is this one. It's really a fire department study. It's nothing to do with budgetary issues. In this document, there's no budgetary information, but it looks like a target study on the fire department. Some of the information requested pertain to the 2025-2026 fiscal year. That did not even end until June the 30th, so why that was included in this document, I have no clue. Because when I was told the document had to be specific, it specifically says 2025-26. Those reports weren't even available. Furthermore, I got a surprise to see these questions again after a phone call I received from Councilman Miller on 5/7/26. The questions were answered to the best of my ability, but most ways I didn't care, or I didn't know the answers to. I did suggest she call the fire chief, but do not know if she did or not. Looking back now, it seems as if this was a violation of the charter, specifically section 4.2/B. As for transparency, the new word, where is this study going? To whom is it going? Is it going to the council, or is it going to another municipality? I would like a response back from the mayor for the reasoning behind this document as it is, not budgetary, and why target the fire department, who actually has the smallest department budget. I will leave the violation of the charter up to the council to police one of your own. Then as I started in the previous meeting, anybody wanting to see this FOIA, they're welcome to see it. I have it here. Thank you.
John Hill?
Became a member of the board of directors for the HOA. I started FOIAing quite a bit in 2025 and 2026. And some of the things I found out is there's not a lot of the records being kept from the time the subdivision was made, formed, voted on, and all, and the records of the construction, about half of them were not available. So I don't know whose problem that is where the house storage is supposed to happen, I don't know how that, who's taking care of that. And all the times of all the FOIAs I had in 2025, and all the FOIAs I had in 2026, and our attorney had gone ahead and filed the denial request. And only one time that's in all the files I filed have I ever had to pay anything, and one of them I filled out, and they charged me $16 an hour to make copies. And they charged me $21 for finding the material. And I wrote them a check for $50, and when I came back to get the rest of the stuff and to pay the rest of it, they just waived it. Which I appreciated waiving it, because I don't have to spend money. Another couple that I was helping on trying to figure out on some of their problems they were having on their property, they filed a FOIA and they were charged the same $13. They were charged $13.73 for the copying and $21.63 for the finding the materials. And we were both charged 10 cents a copy for the copying the materials we had. 'Cause some of the stuff that I had copies was the 11 by 21 sheets for blueprints going back. So I thought our prices that they charged us were reasonable, and but I don't know how I have a problem with the fact that the mayor has to FOIA the city in order to get documents to conduct the city business. So that's my comment.
Judy Preston. Please make sure everyone gets this. Move it up. In the city charter, it says, a professional administrator, the manager, is expected to provide equitable access to critical information, ensuring and governing body. That is our mayor and all 6 people. That is in our policy. Why the city mayor has to pay for this is not right. I believe the city manager may have to be recommended. Why, if there's somebody who works under her, is not getting the FOIAs to the city manager, there's a question that she's the boss of it. Her job is to get our city council, our governing body, the information that they need without cost. I believe there should be a motion made at the meeting that none of our council, none of our mayors should ever, I mean never, have to pay for information. They are voting on very important things like water, trucks, budgets. That is very, very important. The other thing is, I went to the DDA meeting. I don't know what council member here give permission for Ellen and Don to go to the DDA meeting and ask them to come up with half the money for the parking lot Presbyterian Church. My understanding is Tom had asked them to get a price with the gravel. Get 3 prices on the gravel. That's it. Number 3, we got all these things, and I looked back and I searched. And I called Denise Miller, I brought it to her attention. It says that you're supplying financial statements and checking things. There's only check register on there. There is not financial statements on every one of these things that you're supposed to bring. And the big question is here. I gave you all this. Ellen, can you please tell me the order the city Linden organizational chart is?
Do you see who the boss is? You are our manager, you are to get our body, governing body, information that's needed to vote on. We shouldn't have to go and act like this. There should be no charges, nothing. Number two, the other thing is, I know for a fact, people are getting FOIAs, and some are getting charged, and I was gonna get charged for the same freaking question another taxpayer asked. They did not get charged. And I know other taxpayers that are FOIA and stuff, they're not getting charged, but other ones are. That is so ignoramus of you to do anything like that. Madam mayor, or manager, that is just so disrespectful. You are disrespecting our body and our government. You should be giving that information.
Thank you. May Vernon.
The first thing I'd like to say is, I have FOIA'd various items,
One minute, ma'am. Is there somewhere we can get a microphone so I can hear? I cannot hear.
We don't have speakers in here, that's why there's no microphone.
I can't talk louder, I'm sorry.
Okay.
You want me to read them?
Pardon?
You want me to read them?
Yeah, could you read what I wrote, please?
That'd be okay. I really can't hear.
That's fine.
Okay, from here and here, and then the presentation. Here, here. And then.
You know what? Can I make a suggestion? Can I move down to?
Yeah.
Let me do that.
Everybody else.
She's gonna
No, I'm
move
gonna
down.
move down to Brenda's. That way I'm close.
She's gonna move down for you. Okay.
Now, you guys can hear?
Yes. As a taxpayer, I have worked with our city clerk, who is also our FOIA agent, quite a few times. I was always met with extreme respect and courtesy. I received a response to each and every FOIA that I made in a timely manner. I was never charged one penny. So, for our city council members, the mayor, to be charged for documents which is needed to deal with subjects and agenda packets, it is beyond my comprehension. It seems there's possibly discrimination against some members of the city. If there's any way that the city council as a whole could address this matter, I would greatly appreciate it. My second item is corresponding with what Judy said. The presentation at the DDA by the city manager and the DPW director, I believe was the correct term, made an offer to the DDA that was never discussed at the city council. She and I both attended the city council meeting where it was discussed. She and I both attended the DDA meeting where it was discussed. There's recordings of both meetings. So, for them to do that seems very disrespectful, and perhaps they're stepping outside their authority. And anything I know about organizational charts, they were. Now, I don't know how the council feels about that, that's up to you. Also, about that, Councilmember Duke responded to me on social media in a very nice and concise way about the one item of estimate that had been given for the completion of the parking lot for the DDA to check into, I guess. And I don't think a one-time expenditure is what should reach the decision. It's going to cost more to operate with the church on an annual basis, once the initial cost is there, than it is to operate the even a 2 to 5 year study. You don't just take the initial cost, that's not fair. Okay, thank you for your time.
All right, and then I was advised to go under public comment. So I will be going under public comment this evening. Let me pass these out. There's 3 copies. There it is. Good evening, council. Before I begin, I would like to note that this statement is intended to serve as my public comment regarding this agenda item. At the advice of our city attorney, I will be recusing myself from the council's consideration and vote on this FOIA fee appeal. Because of that recusal, I will not be participating in the discussion or responding to questions regarding this matter. This statement represents the extent of my comments on this agenda item before my recusal. And you'll find it right at the very beginning of each one of y'all's packets. Before you consider the FOIA fee appeal, I would like to briefly explain why I filed it. This appeal is not about avoiding the cost of public records. It's about ensuring that elected officials have timely access to the information necessary to make informed decisions on behalf of the residents we serve. Before filing any FOIA request, I first sought this information directly from city manager because it is related to significant budget matters that were scheduled to come before the council for a vote. When I was advised that all of the requested information would not be available in time, I submitted 4 FOIA requests. One of those requests was ultimately closed after the city determined that there were no responsive records to provide. The 3 FOIA requests that are the subject of this appeal involve the fire department, the fire apparatus, engine purchase, and the Linden Mill project. The assessed FOIA fees for those 3 requests totaled $646.34. In each of those FOIA requests, I specifically requested that the fees be waived because the records were being sought in connection with official legislative business before the council. They were not requested for personal use, commercial purposes, or private interest. They were requested so I could fulfill my responsibilities as an elected official and make informed decisions regarding the expenditure of public funds. Michigan law recognizes the importance of providing a legislative body with the information necessary to properly consider a recommended budget. MCL 141.4345 provides that the chief administrative officer shall furnish to the legislative body the information it requires for the proper consideration of the recommended budget. That is exactly why these requests were made, to obtain the information necessary for the legislative body to properly consider significant budget matters before voting on the expenditure of public funds. Assessing FOIA fees under these circumstances creates a financial barrier to obtaining information that was requested solely to carry out official legislative responsibilities. For those reasons, I respectfully ask the council, as a head of the public body, to grant my appeal and waive the assessed FOIA fees. If the council determines that the fees should not be waived, I respectfully request that the council provide the relief requested in my written appeal, including the detailed explanation and supporting documentation for each component of the fee assessment within the time provided by law. That information is necessary for me to fully evaluate the basis for the charges and determine whether any further review is warranted. My goal is not simply to resolve these 3 FOIA requests, it's to help ensure that elected officials can obtain the information necessary to make informed decisions during the budget process without unnecessary financial barriers when acting in their official capacity. I'm done. I didn't finish it, the rest of it y'all can read. And so now that the public comment is done with that, Ellen, if you would like to answer the public comments as a whole.
I think it's important for those that are questioning our FOIA procedures is to refer to our city website on the FOIA page in regards to our policy and the form. And each FOIA request is handled independently based on the volume of the nature in which the information is being requested. So you're not going to have every FOIA request having the same fee affiliated with it or associated with it, and depending on the nature of the request, it's going to depend on who within our organization has to fulfill those requests. In regards specifically to the mayor's request, the budget process actually began back in January when city staff had came to you all and asked for you guys to submit any priorities that we had back in January. We provided a draft budget at the beginning of April. We went through the budget at the end of April. We held a public hearing in May. And the FOIA request that the mayor had submitted, or the information request, didn't come till after all of that process. As I updated council on May 22nd, during my staff update, I provided the information request from the mayor. Staff's happy to provide any information to the city council at any point, understanding that we do have day-to-day responsibilities and a significant amount of volume of work. And so in that update that I had sent to city council on May 22nd, I just informed them that we would be happy to provide we would provide the information as it became available, and that the deadlines that were given in those requests, we probably would not be able to meet, but we would be past that. And then the items were then submitted via FOIA to our office, and once the FOIA process was started, we're held to a specific standard, or we're held to a specific law. And so that's unfortunately where we're at as of right now, and the way I understand it is we're waiting for a response from you in regards to how we move forward with the FOIA request at this point. In regards to Brad's point, your motion was to what specifically, Brad?
If the mayor is to do a written withdrawal for appeal, the city would furnish the FOIA information. The information was FOIA. I believe we have it. I believe it was something that council was going to get, or the mayor was going to get at some point in time. It just didn't fall within the timelines, and the FOIA is what now has it locked up, right?
I think it's important to also note that at no point did city staff encourage a FOIA. I think we communicated that we would provide the information when we were able to get it around. The volume of the amount of information that you specifically requested was significant. And because some of the information that you're requesting also deals with medical records and things like that and runs specifically, that has to be processed differently. So understand that each FOIA that comes across our plate is very different in nature. They're not all treated the same. We have a FOIA policy, it's on our website, so I encourage all of you guys to take a look at it. It explains the process, and in regards to the other comments as far as DDA, I can follow up with those later, so.
The only thing I will say, the only FOIA that I will pay for is going to be the fire department. The other ones were directly budget related. Short of that, that's as much as I was advised by the city. So I'm gonna hand it over to Jerry to lead the rest of this part.
Okay. At this point, we've had public comments on it, and so I guess we would move to council comments. On the FOIA discussion, I think as far as the mayor agreeing to making that move, I think that needs to be made as far as her receiving the information from the city. The other part of it, I believe your discussion was the procedures, to go through the current procedures and discuss those. Those I think we can go ahead and continue with and come up with either the policy stays the same, or, discuss the policy and maybe come up with some changes, or keep it as is. So, at this point, Councilwoman Miller, do you have any comments on it?
Yeah, I just think it's really important that we get the information that we seek. I mean, I've written emails about different subjects. Eventually I will get them. We're a body of 7, and I think that when we, email and ask a question, knowing one person's getting it back, it's really important for me, which I will now do, is ask all my questions at meetings. That way we're all hearing that at one time, and hearing the same thing. If a few of us go into Ellen's office and we're hearing, we ask a question, there's nothing wrong with it. Go in, ask the question, get the response, and there's 2 people that do that, that means there's, other people that are not hearing that response. So the way I'm gonna try to handle it, is just come to meetings and ask the questions, as I did about the $95,000. It's something I didn't know, and I'm glad, Ellen was able to answer. I think transparency is the best way to do it. I believe that if we have questions, I think it'd be easier, and I know that it was said that there's a lot of information in saying that, maybe it would've been, I don't know how your office works, maybe, okay, here's the one thing we can answer, and prioritize how you get the answers back, rather than 7 weeks and no answer. So, I would like to see it waived, and get as much information to the mayor that we can. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I agree, we certainly get all the information, and, I believe that, we can make a request individually for anything that's already a budget item or an agenda item document that's been used by the city. If the city's putting a budget together, and we know they have documentation, we should be able to request it and get it, absolutely 100%. The quote-unquote fire study document, from an individual standpoint, I don't think we should get it, but I think as a council,
That's not
we-
part of FOIA.
Okay.
no, I understand that, I'm just talking about process in general. I'm saying, as, in general, if the council wants information on a subject that hasn't been discussed by the city, as a council, we need to say, no, hey, do we want X, Y, and Z, and do what the city to find out the answers to this for us? If we do, we simply make a motion that the city manager, presents us with answers to X, Y, and Z in a timely manner. We don't have to FOIA it, it's something that council wants at that point on. We work as a body, we don't work as individuals. We are, the organizational chart. City manager answers to the council as a whole. They don't answer to any one of us, she answers to all of us. So when we say as a whole, we'd like information on X, Y, Z, and make a motion and put it in the gears, then I would expect we would get it. Again, there shouldn't be anything up here we need to FOIA. But at the same point in life, if I'm asking for something that's, way out in left field, there's gotta be some consideration. If it's just me, if I'm the only one that's curious when we, put the tornado whistle on top of City Hall and how much it cost us, I don't think that's something that's, relevant that the city employees go back through the basement to find and spend hours doing. But, if it's something, if it's a budget item or paper that's been used, that we're using currently to run the government, it should be provided to council, just like it's provided to residents. They come in and say, hey, you talked about this at the council meeting, can I get a copy? We're pushing buttons and pretty much turning it out, it sounds like, in most cases. And if there's something that's more detailed, we address it to the entire council. The entire council gives the direction.
Councilman Hicks?
Yes, I think this is a subject that we need to keep working on to get guidelines so everybody is comfortable. And I do agree that the question should be brought up as a council, as a board. So this is something I look forward to. Thank you.
Councilwoman Howell?
So, I think, with the Freedom of Information Act, it comes from the federal government, and then the state adopts its own based on the federal government, and then the cities are handled under the state of Michigan. And the problem is, once you request a FOIA, you enter into a rigid set of rules. And for that reason, and those rules can be cumbersome, there's time constraints, they allow for, they allow for the clerk to get her, reimbursed for her efforts and all that other stuff. So I think just dealing with, asking for the request as a council is much more efficient and would be much more, would save money. And I think that's the motion to have, the mayor rescind her request is very effective, because then she can get that, and we can all get the information as well. And it also removes the time frame of the FOIA, which again is rigid. There's simply specifies days, weeks, hours that you have to get things done, so removing that, also removes that fee. And so I think going forward, just asking for it is probably better on the council.
Alright, I agree with a lot of what's being said. I guess, I know there's been a lot of concern about so-and-so got charged for this, so-and-so didn't get charged for this. I think there needs to be a discussion on either, I think to go hard line and say, okay, either everybody pays or nobody pays. I don't know, I would like to hear, Ellen, probably from you on that, because you're the one that, maybe some of that information, but I think if you go hard line either direction, you're gonna have some situations where, you know, hey, this person's just asking for something minor. But then again, you know, from, as far as a resident goes, and it you know, do we need to go charge them to send an email that takes somebody, forward an email that takes 5 minutes or something? But that's part of what we're discussing now, is trying to figure out, hey, what's the best way to leave this procedure? Because the other side of that, I would think, would be the concern that, you know, Bob Smith, you know, asked for this information and he got it for free, and person two asked for the same information and they had to charge. I think that leaves us open for potential, like, well, wait a minute, you gave it to him, but you didn't give it to me, and now I'm being discriminated against. So I think this would be something maybe that we talk to the attorney on to say, hey, is there a legality problem with that? And I did speak with, I don't know, 2-3 months ago, I talked with the attorney at a meeting, since he was already on our dime. And I asked him, I said, what is the status with FOIAs for council members? You know, if I wanted a FOIA. And he said that the city does not have to necessarily request that you have a FOIA, but that's really kind of dependent on the amount of information that is requested and, you know, from the individual. So if I was to ask for something, if it's a 5-minute email forward, yeah, you don't need that, right? I agree with Brad, as a group, and that is who you report to as a group, that the council, if the council is doing city business, or if a council person is doing city business, just like if we were to go to a class or something, right? The city covers those expenses. So to say, if I put in a FOIA and I can prove that it's city business, then the city should cover that cost, which is kind of a waste of time, because now you've got people writing checks and stuff like that. I think city council members should have that information as long as it's in line with what we're working on, or something that somebody is working on. If it's something along the lines of, say, the fire study or a large study or something like that, that would be something that should be, in my opinion, brought here to the council, discussed as a group, and say, yeah, let's move forward with the study. You know, the parking lot, for instance, something along those lines. Let's investigate those things. I think one item that I think we've ran across where we run into trouble sometimes is open-ended statements. Is, okay, where are we, you know, one, be specific on what's requested, but two, as far as, hey, I can get that information to you, I'll have it to you by this date. Just to say, I'll have it to you when it's ready. Well, when's ready? Is that 2 months, 6 months? And that goes against, because one person requested them, I think they should get it in a week. The individual that is being requested that information, it might take them months. So I think we need to, if you go in and request, if the council requests information from the city, we should ask you, Ellen, when do you think what date do you think you could get this information back to us? And then that way we have a time frame to get the information handled. And if, say, I disagree, I think you should be able to get it faster. You could say, well, here's the reasons why, and you could explain that. And then that's reasonable. At the end of the day, everybody's satisfied. We're gonna get this on the 7th or whatever the date might be, right? And so I think that's, I think we need to, because a lot of times in a meeting, you'll just, if nobody is assigned a responsibility and dates aren't assigned,
nothing happens. And it just kind of slips through the crack because everybody starts getting busy. So as a council member, I don't think that any council member should have to pay for a FOIA, as long as they can explain that they are using that FOIA for city business. I also think that individuals that work for the city asking for information, and this is assuming you even say, hey, this has to be FOIA because it's too large for me just to answer. But I think if an individual, say somebody from the fire department has some information and it's related to the fire department and it's large enough that it would request a FOIA, then maybe, as long as it's related to their responsibilities, I don't think that those individuals working for the city should, if they had to do a FOIA, should have to pay for that FOIA. The residents, I think that's something we have to discuss, is if a resident asks for that information, they're not on the city payroll, they're not working for the city, they're working for a resident, so that's why the FOIA information comes up, or is requested, and it needs to be paid for, in my opinion. Or not, whatever we decide, I think we kind of try to get it one way or another, or make it very clear what that threshold is. Like when I talked with the city attorney, he said it really comes down to how much information you're asking for. If you're asking for something easy, the city's probably just gonna say, hey, here you go. But if it's larger, and it's gonna take up a lot of time or resources, then the city could request the council could request a FOIA request, if it meets certain requirements. Long-winded, sorry everyone, but please.
So, again, I think it's important to understand that staff at no point directed, the mayor to submit a FOIA request. It was communicated that we would provide the information, when the information, was available. The volume of the request was significant. I think it's also important to understand that FOIA is a law, is, something that we have to adhere. Our policy reflects that. Our policy and the law also outlines how we are supposed to charge and how we are supposed to treat each FOIA. We get various FOIAs for various different things, whether they be police reports, whether they be, so each one is very different. Our policy and the law gives us guidance on how to handle each one of those. And if it's something that's readily available, that doesn't require a significant amount of staff time, then absolutely. But as far as the fees go, the fees are charged per copy. The labor is the hourly cost of labor for the lowest paid employee capable of examining, reviewing, separating the public record requested, and deleting and separating exempt from non-exempt material, plus up to 50% of the fringe benefits. Depends on if there's postage involved, copying involved, all of those things. So it truly depends on the volume and what is being requested, okay? And I think that that's important to make sure that we understand that this is, state, as Pam already pointed out, that the state has adopted a federal law, we're under that law, our policy is listed on our website. Again, we at no point directed anyone to submit a FOIA request, but once the FOIA request was submitted, then we have to follow our policy, and the law. And it makes it very confusing that there was an expectation that I'm still to provide it outside of the FOIA or provide it inside of the FOIA. So if the motion on the table tonight is to ask the mayor to formally withdraw her motion, and move forward with that, then we have direction and we understand.
Yeah, my understanding was it was two parts. One, the first part about withdrawing the FOIA, the second part about just discussing the procedures and the process. And that's what I was mainly going towards is the process and looking at that. Yeah. So, yeah, so everybody out here, it depends. If I come in as a resident and ask for information, obviously, if there's personal information, where you've got, medical records or something, you have to be careful on that, right? And, but if it's a small easily obtained information. You know, how is that typically handled with the resident? Do we tell them, hey, we can give you this information easily, and we'll get that to you, or you know what, you're gonna have to submit a FOIA request for the information, assuming there's no personal information
Case by
involved.
case, depending on what they're coming in for and the nature of what they're asking for, they may be directed to the FOIA process.
Okay.
And then that clearly outlines how it's supposed to be handled. If it's
Yeah.
information that's readily available, or easily accessible on our website, we direct them to there, or we provide it in accordance, so.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
when talking to Mike at one point, cause I was confused in all this stuff too. He said it never takes the expectation away from giving the answer. You did a FOIA, but still, you still had the expectation to get that answer, from what Mike was saying. So even with the FOIA, she should have still gotten the answers. That's what I heard from Mike.
Okay, I guess I can't speak for Mike or
Okay.
understand that conversation necessarily, but, the request that came through was for specific information for us to provide.
Okay, is there any further questions or information requested? So,
I call the question. I'd like to take the vote. If that's what we're gonna do.
the vote for,
Dropping the, fees, what, I
Well,
make the
it's-
motion.
that would be a separate,
It's actually up to Madam Mayor to decide if she's going to withdraw the FOIA request
Okay.
and have the fees waived. She wants to pay for the fire study. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I do see in the fire study, she does have a disclaimer down here that, so I think you're really requesting it for yourself.
No, the
No?
disclaimer, that is the only one that I did not receive back from Kristen. So I had already taken it and put it on my Facebook page, so basically the disclaimer is there because it came up my Facebook page so that I could go take it to the UPS store. Okay, that's all it was. But that's the one I stated my opinion, prior to this, because like I said, I'm not supposed to talk. But I will, the fire department, not fire engine apparatus, nor the mill, I will not pull those. I will only pull the fire department.
To clarify, I think what's being asked is if the formal written request to, withdraw the FOIA, the information will be provided within reasonable time. If council decides that that's something that,
what would you feel would be a reasonable time? Well, and maybe break it up into each individual, because to say all the information, there's a lot of information there, so how do you break that up? But, could we get a time frame of, okay, for each one of the three areas that we're discussing? Is there any way, I mean,
according to the city attorney, we as a body cannot make motions to have you release information.
Yes.
We cannot do that. That is what I was told by the city attorney, which was not able to be here tonight because he had a prior engagement. And so at the end of the day, that is why I will not pull those two. The mill building and the fire engine, I will not. I mean, that's as clear as I can be. I will pay for the study one myself, but I will not pull those two, period. In short of that, that's really all I've got to say.
I don't think it's fair to us.
Oh. Can I speak?
fire chief would like to speak.
oh, sorry, go ahead, Chief Will.
Just one example of this fire department request that we had. One question out of, 20, 25 questions that I had of documents that was requested, has to do with fire runs of 2 years, which is over 700 calls. And I have to go through 700 calls, make copies of all the EMS calls, and redact addresses and pertinent information regarding EMS. Obviously, none of us want, and it's a law that I can relinquish that kind of information. So it is gonna take hours and hours to do that. And that's, again, just an example of part of this process. And it might come to play as far as the cost involved in doing that. It's not that I don't wanna do it, but it is gonna take, I don't know, 2 or 3 days worth of work, which takes away from other admin duties and fire calls and such like that to participate in. But that's just one example of the time that it takes to answer those questions that were brought to our department through the FOIA system that I have to follow, the cost and all that pertains to the hours spent doing that.
That's why I said I would pay for that one. I'll pay for that one.
So, I mean, at this point, I don't know that there's a vote, because that would, as far as the current, the ones you don't want to pay for, I think we would have to have a separate motion to, excuse those fees. And that, so that would be something separate. This portion here is strictly about, talking about the offer that was provided from the city. I assume this is an offer from you, Ellen? I mean, Brad brought it up as a statement. Are you?
An offer for what?
As far as if she withdraws the FOIA, sends a letter, withdraws the FOIA, that you'll provide this information.
We have active FOIAs for the request as of right now. We would have to, the way that it is, we would have to address it, she would have to submit a formal FOIA request. Again, I go back to, we did not ask the mayor to submit FOIA requests, communicated that we would provide the information, never mentioning FOIA.
What I'm saying, we've got,
So,
sorry.
yeah, no, I mean,
There's 3 items on here as far as the FOIA, for the fire department to study, for the fire trucks, the fire study, or the study, and then the.
I don't have the FOIA request in front of me specifically, but there was 4 or 5.
She sent it an object, doesn't have it.
Excuse me.
So, I guess at this point, I guess staff is looking for council direction and mayor direction and what they would like to do, so.
The question would be, for me, from what Brad brought up, is the city willing, if the FOIAs were withdrawn, would the city provide that information? Brad made that
I think we
statement.
already communicated that we
Yeah.
would provide the information
Okay, well,
outside.
Brad had made the statement, but yeah, okay, I just wanna make it clear that that's good. I guess at this point, from that portion of it, Madam Mayor, how do you?
I've already said I will pay for the what is called
Okay.
fire department FOIA. I
So,
will pay that.
With that said.
I am asking for the appeal,
Okay.
the waiver of the fees, as it was even stated in my original FOIA requests, all 3 of them added in there, to please waive the fees. But I am asking for the mill building FOIA, as well as the fire engine apparatus FOIA to be waived. That is what I am asking for.
And you'll withdraw the FOIAs for those if they.
I will not withdraw any FOIA.
Okay.
I will pay for one, but I'm not withdrawing any.
Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes.
So, or Mayor, so if you're not gonna withdraw so you can get the information, there's nothing, no fees to
The
waive?
waiver, what I have asked for here, and what I filed on Friday, was a waiver to request the head of the public body, which is here, to waive the fees associated originally with 3 FOIAs. Now we are at waive the fees with 2 FOIAs, the mill building FOIA and the fire engine apparatus FOIA. I'm asking for those 2 fees to be waived so that I can get the information that I requested for budgetary reasons. The fire department FOIA, I will pay for myself.
Pertinent?
Yes, sir.
I can make a motion, due to budgetary constraints and considerations, that the FOIA fees be waived for the fire truck and the mill buildings. They are both budgetary items, council should get all the information for both of those.
I second that.
Wait. Yep. Kristen?
Lee,
Yes.
Hicks,
Yes.
Armstrong,
She can't.
oh, you can't, so abstain. Miller,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Dick,
Yes.
motion carried.
Moving down to unfinished business items.
So, just a few updates on some of the unfinished business, on the monthly grant updates, working through the EPA grant, that was an appropriation through McDonald Brevet's office, we're still moving through that process. Meeting recording, we did actually receive, confirmation last week that the, technology did come in and they're ready to install, so we're working with them on getting it installed, hopefully soon, ASAP for the microphones and, things that we've been waiting on. We do have to work around schedules and programming here at OC and stuff. No update on, the LOT ban and the museum and library mill building. Mill building project is moving along. Just in the meeting that we had last week, they're still anticipating an, end of October completion date, so hopefully that continues. And tonight, actually, we do have a restriping presentation from John with Row Engineering, so that is on, for tonight, so anything we'd like to add to that, Don, or just,
No, I don't think so. John brought some visual aids, as they say, to help walk through the process, so we'll ask him to go to the podium and do the podium.
Ellen, real quick, when he's going to the podium, can you tell me the LoC ban update? Did I hear you say anything?
I don't have an update on that, we're
Okay.
still waiting for confirmation of when that will.
I may move from the podium as I discuss this. Again, my name's John Winwell, I'm with Row Professional Services. I believe it was last January, I was before you all, and we discussed several subjects. One of which was truck modeling that our firm put together to show wheel paths through the intersection of Bridge and Broad. At that time, we briefly discussed a reconfiguration of the north leg of this intersection to give trucks a little bit more space to turn from eastbound to northbound. And at that time, you all asked me to develop the site further. So I'm here tonight to discuss this. This is our drawing. Let's see. Some of you are looking at this, some of you are looking at this.
Where do you want us to look at?
So what I'm gonna try to do is point at both, but I can't point at the same time, obviously.
Yeah, then I give up, I don't have to watch it on
So
video.
I'll point at both. So, the space that we're creating is, oh, my pointer doesn't work on this thing. Yes, it's very,
You can just touch it.
it's very light, very small, but this dimension is set, we have a 7-foot, space we've carved out, to help with that turning. And this fits with the model that I brought you all, and presented to you all last January. At that time, we discussed, well, if we're going to lose, to do this, we have to turn the dedicated bike lane into a shared bike lane. So this small symbol right here is a Shero, and that designates that the bicycles can share the lane with the vehicles. This sign here, we want to post 100 feet north. I don't quite have Walmart Street Street, the north side of Walmer Street here, this is where it is, but we need to post these signs about 100 feet in advance of Walmer Street to, give bicyclists, advance notice that that the dedicated bike lane is getting dropped, and that we move to a shared vehicle and bike lane. Let's see, what else to talk about. You like that, don't you?
Yes.
I'm getting to that. In fact, I'll probably finish with that.
All right.
We have, except for the crosswalk on the east leg, we've left all striping off of this plan because you just had it done. It looks nice and fresh up there.
Yes.
At least I think it looks nice and fresh. Let me go back to the north leg. We had discussed the need to trade some parking spaces in order to get this space for the trucks turning, or the campers turning, or the boats, or the trailers. I say trucks because that's what we modeled, but I do remember from that conversation, it was an assortment of vehicles that are giving us problems there. So I need to be upfront and say, this plan loses 6 spaces of on-street parking along Bridge. Now, that being said, to keep the same amount of storage, if you will, for the left turn lanes, we had to begin our transition back to the parking spaces at the same location, north and south, is where our left turn lane begins. I'm pointing and talking because it's, even engineers might say this a different way. This line right here is our transition, and we needed to terminate that at the same location this way. As we didn't want to take away any of your length of this left turn lane. We needed this space to transition, industry standard. If you want me to get into the math of it, I can. But it's length equals width times speed squared over 60. But that is industry standard and then METCD for a shifting taper. So the slope of this line is dictated by engineering publication. So I didn't want to take this many parking spaces, but to keep the amount of left turn storage here and to meet standard engineering criteria here, that's where we landed. Finally, we were able to use the same METCD to find a pavement marking and a sign to notify the traveling public to not block this driveway at your gas station on the southeast corner. And that's my run through of what we were thinking as we were putting this together. Donna asked us to put together an estimate for this. We switched to that estimate. That'll work. So the bottom line is a hair over 25,000. 1,700 of that is for Roe to do construction inspection for you. $2,000 of that is it's a 10% contingency that I put in there for my uncertainty. We're gonna ask for prices or go to bid.
It'll have to go to bid.
It'll have to go to bid. The 21,000 is what I think it should cost, but when it goes to bid, there's uncertainty as to how the prices will come in. I can take questions, or Don has.
Yeah, Council, if I may, Tell me if I'm wrong, but I just want it to be clear, this does not fix everything. We only have so much room to work with on that intersection, so it does a lot to favor that right-hand northbound turn, to correct that issue there. Issues remain, so I don't want you to think that if we spend this $25,000 that you're not gonna see a truck get tied up that's maybe turning southbound, or what was the other one that was a little challenging, was it?
Go back to the previous.
So, this is not a cure-all.
So, while we have moved these lanes from here over to the west, and we've improved the space our big vehicles need to make this turn, we have taken out space for large vehicles to make this right-hand turn. By shifting it over. However, I mean, this isn't a full 90-degree turn, it's less than 90 degrees. And there is some space in front of this left turn bay here, and you can see. But I can see the potential of large vehicles trying to turn right here, holding up traffic until this left-hand lane clears.
And how about southbound turns from, eastbound traffic? So, from west, there you go.
From here down to here?
Yep.
That should remain, that, any problems we have there, we're still going to have.
Correct,
We
correct.
we have not fixed anything, we've not fixed anything with this one. Anything else?
No, the only other thing I'll add is, I suspect we will get some pushback from the businesses that have street front parking there. Obviously, they're gonna lose that. That's all.
That's what I was gonna ask Don, is, have anyone talked to the businesses?
Not at this point, no.
Any conversations before?
Well, we wanted to know
Right,
if council
right.
was interested in doing this, so.
Do any residents have any questions about this item?
Coming from the north, going south, can you cut out that left-hand turn going west? Coming from-
Right-hand turn going west or left-hand going east?
Come from the north, right here, this one right here, you're gonna turn here, can we take that one out, make this a wider lane for the trucks, everything to meet you wanna turn?
That would be,
I would not advise that, but I have not studied the impacts to traffic to substantiate why I would not advise that. Left turns in general eat up a lot of green time at your signals.
we already have a problem there.
Right, and if you don't separate your throughs and your rights from your lefts, your lefts are going to hold up your straights and your rights. If we had, the thing is, when southbound is green, so is northbound. So these left turns have to yield to each other. There's no dedicated left. So your queue backs up because you have straight and right turners waiting behind the left turner, looking to come between the queue opposite. So, again, I don't have a study to specifically state the impact of that, but if we're talking about reducing lanes in a situation where we're already overloaded on capacity. So I would say that's not a good idea.
A lot of our citizens already, we already have a problem there, trying to make our lives.
Any further resident questions? Does this eliminate the bike lane? I know that was discussed in the first meeting, if we could eliminate the bike lane in that particular area and move it over onto the sidewalk, that would gain us some extra space? Or is it still in the road?
Okay, I think there's a couple of questions I can glean from your question. First of all, I believe it's signed and it's illegal anyway to put a bike lane on the sidewalk.
Okay.
Is that correct? Is it currently signed that way, Don?
Sort of.
Sort of, okay.
We have some old signs in town that would suggest that the sidewalks are no wheel zones. It's not enforced.
Right.
And I don't know if there was ever an official, motion to make that a no wheel zone, or if those signs just show up at a few places.
So firstly, I would say officially moving bicycles to that sidewalk are going to create a new problem for your pedestrians and your storefront owners. And if we're gonna talk about taking away parking spaces, maybe I shouldn't be in the room if we talk about moving a bike lane to the sidewalk right in front of the door of their business. Secondly, I wouldn't say we're eliminating the bike path. We are eliminating the 6 feet or so of dedicated bike lane.
Okay.
But this symbol, I know it's small, and if you wanna come over here and see it, this symbol says vehicles share the lane with the bikes.
Okay.
So the bikes can still drive, can still take this path. They just don't have that dedicated space. They have to
Okay.
share the lane with the vehicles.
And the
And we're
sidewalk.
still gonna lose 6 parking spaces even with eliminating that?
Yes. Yes. Did I answer all of your questions?
I think so.
Okay.
Thought I maybe had.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm just,
Right.
make sure I'm thorough.
Yeah, right now I did. Thanks.
Any further public? Comment?
Yeah, I do. So, first off, I can tell you that removing 6 parking spots will be very unpopular. Like, not just with those businesses, but also for the visibility of downtown. And a downtown that we already, it's already felt that there's a parking problem, and then to remove those 6 parking spots, would not only like say, hey, like, we have a parking problem, but like, it's not a problem. Also, those spots also provide a buffer for walkability down that sidewalk. That makes pedestrians feel more comfortable, especially when they're out like waiting to get into the brewery or in like walking down the sidewalk, or if my kids are there, like, and we're walking around and like you have to hold their hand because there's cars right next to the road, or right next to the curb. Those 6 parking spots provide a huge buffer. I do think that there is a problem with the turn lane, but I feel like we're causing more trouble than we're solving by going with the solution.
I think that was a comment more than.
Yeah, it was a comment more than, yes,
Okay.
no questions.
Yeah, I have one. I take care of the trash around town in the morning, and I actually use those parking spots to park in there to take care of the trash cans, so it would be more difficult to, service those trash cans that are there on the sidewalk if that was a lane all the way through.
Any further questions? Seeing none. Councilman Dick.
I'm just wondering, since we have a through and a turn right now, and we have a bike lane, and we took out parking spots and the bike lane, and we only gained 7 feet. The bike lane should have been, what, 3 feet, 4 feet by itself.
Well, we widened some of those,
The lanes.
lanes from non-standard widths to standard widths.
before we put the bike lane in, we had all the parking spots, well, not all of them, but like the two closest to the intersection would have been stacked for the right turn, if I remember correctly. And it wasn't that big of a problem. I don't know how we're gonna look at that, if we maybe widen them too much, I don't know. I know you guys do the math, you got the slide rules, we pay the big bucks for it.
It looks great. But we have these businesses down there, and I know those, just take out, and I'm one of those people that have a camper with the side-by-side, I deal with all that.
I'm not here to
Oh, I know.
sell you
No,
on any
no,
idea.
I totally.
I'm here to present what I was
And you-
asked to present.
right, you did-
and-
really, that's-
And this is your.
You did a great job.
You can comment at me,
Right. Right.
but the thing is,
Mhm.
it's your decision.
No, I really, no, everything that you put in, put a lot of thought into. And I can see it working, but, me personally, I know I see the senior citizens going into beauty shop, and that's the spot, or the Thimbleberry, or any of the other businesses. If we had dedicated parking spots in the back where they could go into those businesses, would be one thing. I really appreciate everything you put into this, thank you.
Councilman Hicks.
Just two quick things. Like Brad was saying, for years you had a right coming south on Bridge Street in front of the Thimbleberry. You had a right-hand turn lane and you had a straight lane. And a left-hand turn lane, and we really didn't have problems. So, I'm just a little confused about that. And second, Brian, have you had a chance to review this? You have a problem when you come out of your station, you have to turn right and go around and come straight up. Will this
Yes.
help you eliminate that, or no?
No.
So you're still stuck having to do a.
I'm not stuck, it's okay to do that.
Well, yeah, it's
It's
just-
maybe
yeah.
30 seconds longer,
Okay.
but it
Just
eliminates,
Trying to see if we can eliminate your problem too.
correct, because the trucks are long.
Right, that's all I have.
I feel for the businesses that if they lose the spots. On the other hand, I've been in the left turn from the southbound lane turning left onto Broad Street, and I can't tell you the number of times I almost got hit by some guy coming, turning north from Broad Street, so, I know we need to do something, and I'd rather err on the side of safety, having been there, and I don't ever drive to the line, I'm like far back from it, and I've still almost got hit twice by a big semi. So we need to do something. I'd rather err on the side of this than be the one that gets hit. Oh, I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry, I'm good, sorry.
Okay, just didn't wanna cut you off, okay. All right, so. Oh, sorry. I'm like moving on down. Okay, go ahead.
All right, first of
Councilman
all,
Lake,
this
I'm
is all
moving
your
down.
fault.
Sure. If I may interrupt you for a
Yeah,
minute.
go ahead, Mike.
So, we're discussing this, but whatever we do here, we can still do this. And I know that you want this, so I just wanted you to know that
Okay.
there are,
Okay.
there are pieces of this that can stay.
Yeah.
If there are pieces that you don't all agree with as a body.
So I just have two questions, recommendations, I guess more of a question, but, so at this spot here, there's only one left turn.
Yes.
There's space for one car to be in that left turn.
Correct.
If we
Well,
were,
What, one space wide or one space deep?
One space here as
Yes.
far as length of a car.
To stay out of the do not block, yes, that's correct.
So,
But
if we were to eliminate.
There is space here.
Correct.
There's space behind that, so you still have some left turn storage there.
Because the left lane doesn't happen until the cross traffic gets by. If we eliminated that one spot, that would open up a little more space for a truck to come around that corner. I don't know what negative impacts that has, but that would give them a little bit more swing to go further down, because the first car would be down here at the southern end of the do not block.
Oh, you mean, okay, so you're talking about swinging out
Oh.
and get into this, and
Yeah.
you still have space back here.
So, I mean, I don't know, and Brad brought up a good point, you know, where do you queue up your left turn lane? I don't know if there's space here for the straight, but, that would be, and then as far as on the opposite end, I guess if you move the left turn back a little bit, but now you've got the potential, if a lot of people are turning left, you could block everybody going straight, so.
Okay, I think I addressed the question somewhat
Yes.
with this, but yes, if you move this stop bar all the way back here, they've gotta cover that much ground before they can come up here and turn left, and it's a yield left, you have to come up there to wait for a spot. Just to be realistic, just because we put a sign up in the pavement, doesn't mean that everyone's going to stay out of that space. But it should encourage people to let people out of the driveway.
All right, thank you. That's all I have.
Alright, so, over where the ice cream garage is, right on the map, what I'm seeing and what I heard discussed was that when the truck comes around, that's one of those difficult turns. Okay, so what I'm wondering is can we move the line back? Some there, see how they're kind of even there with the buildings? And those lines get moved back, because then when the trucks are trying to do the wide turn, they can get it and maneuver and get back in their lane.
Are you talking about these?
Yes,
West Broad left turn lane, move back. Is that what you're talking about?
right there in front of the ice cream garage.
Yeah.
Yep, left-hand turn lane, move it back, that's what she's saying. On West Broad, right there.
Here?
Yep,
Oh, so your right can turn.
so your right-hand turns, get a little more swing.
When you get to the light.
Well,
We can,
I'm trying to,
we can look at that. There is a max distance that I can go away from the signal for visibility reasons.
right,
And when you start moving these back, you also reduce your amount of space you can wait to take a left turn. But that's certainly something we can look at.
that was the only thing that I could see that could possibly
Right, this
fix
is
that
still just,
one, that one
this is still
area.
just a
with the
drawing.
numbers. Yeah, now the other question that I have.
And this is why we draw, so we can move things around till we like it.
So the other question I have is it possible that council can get a copy of this? Or a copy of this go into the packet so that we can have a future discussion about it? And then, I mean, if it could go in the packet, that'd be amazing, because then residents could see it, but at a minimum, into our emails, so that we can sit and look at it and.
If I may, counsel, depending on, again, we're not advocating for this work. The council asked us to look at what could be done there to potentially help with some of these turning movements, so that's why we're presenting tonight. If you tell us tonight that, okay, we wanna go forward, there's a couple more steps that are gonna have to happen. Obviously, this is gonna have to go out to bid, so we'll come back to this body again. You'll have the opportunity to look at it again, you'll have the opportunity for public comment, and all of it before we vote to actually make this happen. And we'll have an actual price at that point. So I think what we're looking for tonight is, do we want to pursue this and go out to bid? Because there are costs associated with every one of these steps. I asked these guys to do additional work. We do in-house work and then, and put it out to bid. When we come back, if there's additional changes, again, there's additional costs. So we can do anything from repaint it the way it is. It's in desperate need of being repainted, no matter what configuration we use. Or we can determine, which parts of these we wanna move forward with. I can ask them to rewrite it, and then we can go out to bid on that rewrite, and again, come back to this body, walk through this process with actual numbers before we get a formal approval.
But it's a, no, can't, you need it tonight, we can't just mull on it for a minute?
No, he doesn't need it tonight.
Oh, okay, you don't need it tonight,
No,
okay.
and,
Okay.
and when we come back, we'll have the final configuration. If we change it, we'll have the final configuration with actual numbers, and it can be in the packet.
Okay.
And Mayor, I've been sitting here going back and forth in, GIS between 2018 and 2025. I mean, the intersection hasn't changed, but it's like, we maybe had two parking spots that we took out in front of Thimbleberry. Used it for a stack. Give us a 2 or 3 car stack for a radiant turn. And the rest is going through.
I think those, if I may, I think those 2 spots were like marked off where you could, everybody did.
Yeah, well, it's probably
It was
it.
marked off not to make the right turn, but everybody did.
Well, I'm looking at compared to the right turn off of eastbound, East Broad. We have about a 2-car stack on the corner for the radiant turn. We have a through lane, obviously, but I don't know if we can wiggle one in there or not.
May one of the things. The other thing, I know when you come up here with this lane being to the far right, the traffic's gonna have to shift slightly to get back to the, because of where the curb comes out right here. So I don't know if that's a problem. I guess if you don't see the curb, maybe there's a pole there and everything else, so I guess maybe that's.
Snowplow may take that.
Yeah, maybe you deserve, I don't know. Okay, thank you.
Any further council questions on this item? Tell us what you need us to do.
Yep, so all I'd be asking for tonight is, do you want us to move forward with putting a bid, package together and go out to bid on this configuration, and then bring this back, to the body in the future for, formal approval and public comment?
So, is it okay then, because we don't normally vote on these meetings, to do a hand raise if you're in favor?
That's fine by me.
And a no hand if you're,
As long as the residents are good with that, I'm fine.
Is everybody here good with that? All right, I see nothing. Okay, we're good. All right, so, all in favor of what Don is discussed? Raise your hand.
Safety.
Okay, thank you.
And that allows residents to come up with their concerns as well in the next time it's brought up, before it's voted on.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, I appreciate your time. All right, we're gonna go
I had a couple questions on a couple other unfinished business. On the meeting recordings, Kristen, do you know if they verified that these microphones will hook directly up to this iPad? So if we're in this room, they will do that?
They said that it should work with the current iPad. They're gonna do their best to make it.
Okay, so
work.
even if, but it will hook up to something
Yes.
directly. Great, thank you. Comment cards, you know what, we'll bring that up in another discussion. It would be a discussion item, so. So that's it.
Any further council questions on the unfinished business items? Seeing none. All right, so if we can do the manager's update, but, I forgot to call on you after public comments, so if you could answer the public comments, the first set of public comments.
I will follow up. I don't have any answers to provide at this moment, but I can follow up with the ones that, submitted in the first, I do have a few other updates, to give city council. We received actually today a letter from Genesee County Drain Office in regards to, the Forest Ridge Estates condo. Again, not approving their stormwater plan, so we'll get that out, to the necessary parties and things like that, but, so just wanted to let council know that that's the most recent update that we've gotten as of today. Chief, Sutter, is working on an ordinance addressing, scooters and things like that. There'll be a draft coming forward at the next meeting. And he's been working with the attorney on that as well. Anticipating July 27th meeting for that. Also, they're working on, update to our solicitor's ordinance, and anticipated draft coming sometime in, August of that as well. Lindenwood, the repairs to Lindenwood is moving along. They started that last week, I think it is. Wednesday. So that's moving along in regards to the driveway approaches. MML convention registration is open. I know some of you have already registered. Please let us know. I'll let Kristen know if you guys would like to register and attend. We'll get you set up with that. Staff is currently working on fiscal year end. Fiscal year end is usually pretty heavy for us because it always also coincides with tax billing, utility billing. We're also doing election prep as well. So it's a lot going on. We're working on, Brooke is working on finishing up the budget books to get those out to city council. Next meeting, we'll email them, we'll put them on the website, and we'll get you a hard copy as well. If you have any questions, let us know. Any of the council that is interested in doing a tour of the mill building, we can do that in groups of 3. So please reach out to Don, and over the next week, week and a half, and we'll get that scheduled with you all. I think it'd be great for you guys to take the opportunity and go through that. So again, groups of 3, Don can get you through there, and we can schedule some time for that. One of the other things, I'm sure some of you guys are wondering who the gentleman is sitting down here next to Don, but Madam Mayor and Council, this evening I'd like to introduce Pat McNally, who's accepted to serve as our next Director of Public Works. Pat comes to us, yes, he comes to us with municipal public works experience from the city of Westland, where he has served in the roles of construction and maintenance supervisor, senior mechanic, and senior equipment operator. We're looking forward to having him join our team. Pat, during the process, rose above as we were looking for someone to, work with our existing team, communicate across our departments, and help continue moving the department forward. Throughout that process, he stood out to us. We're excited to have him joining us. His first, over the next couple of weeks, he's going to be working through a transition phase with Don and working part-time, and then starting full-time in August. August 3rd, he'll be joining us full-time. So we're sad to see Don go, but we are excited to have Pat join us and keep moving things forward. So thanks, Pat, for being here with us tonight. And he's actually, today we had, he got to meet most of the staff and then get a feel for the city and stuff like that. So spent some time in the city. That's all I have. Happy to field any questions.
Any residents have any questions? Any council members have any questions about the city manager report? All right, we're going to now move then to council comments. We will start with Councilman Linden.
Not much tonight. It's nice and hot outside, so everybody try to stay cool, and remember, Shelby Losi's open as a cooling center if people need places to go. We probably rented out to Grand Blanc residents tonight. I hear they're out of power. About 12,000 of them. And Linden River Roast is this weekend downtown. Luckily, the road construction isn't, going through over there, so we might get to use Main Street a little bit. But there'll be activities all weekend, Friday and Saturday down there, beer tent, bands, cornhole tournament, and kids zone and things, and Dr. Wax's parking lot on Saturday. 8 different food trucks. It's usually a fun time.
I'm really thankful for the road construction being over with. Although the inclination now is I'm turning left out my driveway and going down the dirt road, it's like, dang. But it's really, really nice to be able to turn right, and so, the road's wonderful, it's beautiful. And then I'm really thankful that Scott's working on an ordinance for scooters, especially, I hope that also works on e-bikes, because, I've seen them going down the road, probably because it's so smooth, you know, that they're flying down it. And it's really risky. You have people driving at a high rate of speed in vehicles, and these people, the kids, they don't wear helmets on the e-bikes or the scooters. And to me, it looks like an accident waiting to happen, especially the ones that are going down the left halfway, and there's areas where it's really nice and smooth, but you get to an area right across from Triangle Park, it's extremely bumpy. I'm just worried if someone's gonna hit a bump and fall off and get really hurt. And then I don't know if any of you are members of Linden Mills Historical Society, but you should maybe think about coming and joining. Tomorrow night we're saluting the Reverend Don Newville in memory, and that's going to be at the Linden Methodist Church. So, this stuff, just letting you know, and thank you very much.
Just got a couple things. Don, we had brought up a couple times, and I don't know if you gave us a final answer on it or not, but one of the things was using the mills for that parking lot that you have, you gave us a drawing of, to do a temporary thing to see if it works with mills. I don't believe we ever got a final answer on that.
So I talked to the engineer, I talked to Dave, John, about using millings for what could be a parking lot in the future, and it's not recommended. So it would probably have to come out and put in actual crushed stone base before you converted it over to an actual parking lot, paved parking lot.
And then, I know I brought this up to you at least a half a dozen times, and I'm still getting flack about it. On Broad Street, that section that guy did not repair, and we held money back.
Yep.
It's been over a year.
Yep.
When's
So,
that gonna be addressed, please?
so Monday and Tuesday of next week.
Okay. 'Cause I mean, I'm still getting flack over that.
Yeah. Well, and I think I've said this in previous meetings, there's multiple things that have to happen there. So first, they're gonna come in and make a repair, they're gonna mill and repair that section. But there's also a manhole structure there that has to be elevated, along with several others along that stretch of road. I'm having a hard time getting multiple quotes on that work. So, I have a quote from the company that's doing the milling, and I'm waiting on one other, and then I should be able to make those happen. So, people need to understand that patch is gonna happen first. The manhole structure will not be adjusted at that time, but it will be adjusted at a future date, so. So the hump should be resolved next week.
Well, that'll be a good forward progress.
Yep.
That's all I had, thank you.
Okay, I got a couple of questions. First, I want to welcome Robert Glover. He's going to be on the planning commission. He's over there with the red wing hat on, so welcome to the planning. The question on the room that we use for city council. I brought this up a couple times. I would really like to see this on Hall A or Hall B. Reasons, we never know who's gonna show up for meetings. I think it's more comfortable for everyone to be in a bigger room. And I've never known that this was gonna be the spot for it. If we have microphones, and they don't work, then I don't understand why we're ordering microphones, and it's been 18 months. I seen some, I don't know what you call them, at one time they were supposed to be invoices, and I was told it wasn't invoices. And I've seen, Tessa sign an invoice, Tessa and Kristen sign an invoice, and Kristen sign an invoice, so the total was $24,000. Is that what we're paying for, the equipment for this building? I have questions. The, John Hill's property, is there a, deadline before they have to come back, not down John Hill's, but the, Forest Glens? Is there a timeline where Danny would have to come back and ask, the city for more time, extension, per se, because it has been a while? And I guess that's all I have.
Go ahead.
Okay, no, so I will follow up with Adam and have Adam follow up with Mr. Hill in regards to where we're at in the process with, Forest Ridge Estates. In regards to the annex, so as you guys know, when we started, we've been talking about it for a while to find, council a permanent home. And as we were displaced from the mill building and setting up the larger halls were, challenging for staff, and so if we could find a space, to designate as our official meeting room for the city, and we discussed that being the annex, and we went through the renovations, and with the intent that that's, and we did discuss that, in updates, and just staff updates and things like that, that was the goal and that was the direction that we were moving, to utilize the annex, for, city council meetings. Because the hope was that we would be able to leave the other rooms for programming in the evenings, as that's been something that's been communicated that they wanted to continue to do, is to continue with evening programming, things like that. So, in addition to, if you remember, when we went through and did the annex update, and construction, one of the things that we needed to do was also upgrade the technology down in the, both hall A and B. The projectors are not working. And the microphones that you referenced specifically, we don't have speakers in this room. So to utilize the microphones in here, they don't project, there's no speakers for them to project into. That's the intent of us getting the, equipment for this room specifically, that's what Kristen has discussed. And that's what we've had on order. The items that you mentioned specifically, Denise, were, quotes that were signed. So Tessa is working with them to address the, technology issues in Hall A and B. So that was the quotes that you've seen that Tessa had signed and working with them directly. The quotes that you've seen Kristen sign, that she provided were specific for the annex and the microphones and the technology to make that happen. We also, part of that is the finishing up the CDBG project with Fenton Township as well. So sharing, Fenton Township shared funding with us with their CDBG funding to help fund some of the technology upgrades, and so that was part of that overall project as well. So the annex is something that we had discussed, like I said, we were trying to find more of a permanent location, so we went back and forth. We've had to move the meeting from time to time because neither of the projectors in the halls are working, and the technology down there, that's why we're upgrading that as well.
One more question. When you said that you decided, has council had any input on where we put our room or where we want our city council meetings at?
So we'd have to go back, it's never been up for a council vote specifically, but, it's something that we were just trying to problem solve as a staff that made, sense, as well. And when we had talked about it in the past, we didn't get necessarily any feedback one way or another. So we moved forward with that, and I think that I've communicated along the way that that was been the intent the entire time. We've got, and honestly, I understand, I've talked to you about this, you know, a couple of times, and stuff like that, we corresponded via email and stuff, but we've actually gotten a lot of feedback that people can hear better, in the larger hall, they can't hear as well. And with the microphones that we would have installed and the speaker system that we would have installed, it would solve the issues that we had a little bit earlier with public comment. And then the screen issue that we've had, in the larger, with the projectors, they're hard to see visibly. And we've had feedback from, residents that they actually like these visuals. They're easier to see. So that's just what we've had to date, so.
Councilwoman.
I am good, thank you.
And I am good, so I'm gonna call the meeting adjourned at, 8:30.
Everything is for residents of all mail without having to take out. The road is so nice, living on that road now, like, wow, this is amazing, no rattling.